Welcome to Garden Design. I'm really excited to start this project. I put this course together to teach gardeners how to develop much better gardens. I actually started this course about 7 years ago and I've been giving it locally. It's been a great success. It sells out every year. So I've decided to put it online and make it available to everybody. I think the reason this course is so successful is that I go through the process along with you. I actually take a garden that has very little in it and I design it from scratch. And I go through every one of those steps and come up with the various drawings that are needed. And I give you reasons of why I'm doing that. What goals am I trying to meet? What are my wants and needs in the garden? And I break up that process into discrete steps. In each video, I introduce you to the step, show you how to do it. You actually watch me doing it. And then I give you a homework assignment and you go off and do it yourself. Then you come back in the next video and we do the next step. That process gives you really good insight into the process. Along with that, I'll also provide a lot of other information about garden design principles and ideas. Things like focal point. And how do we draw the person through the garden? Adding art in the garden to make it more special. And you'll be learning those things as you actually do the drawings and do your own design. Now, I'd like to make it clear as to what we do in the video and what we don't do. When you hear garden design or landscape design, the term's kind of confusing. Some people think that it's all about getting the right kind of plants placed close together so it looks good in the bed. But that's not what garden design is really about. Now, there are other good videos about organizing your plants and picking the best plants, but that's not our focus here. We will be talking about plants, and it is important to decide between deciduous trees and evergreen. But once you've made that decision, there are all kinds of deciduous trees you could pick. This course is also not about building things. I'm not going to show you how to build decks and how to lay flagstone to make a pathway. That's also not design work. The other thing I'm not going to do is try to turn you into professional garden designers. This course will cover basic information, but we're not going to cover topics like how to question the customer to find out what they want. We're also not going to spend a lot of time on doing really fancy drawing. You can see behind me some of the drawings we're using. They're pretty crude, and you need no artistic skills to be successful with garden design. When I design my own garden, these are the kind of drawings I use. And to be quite honest, they're usually not even this good. Thinking about the design is more important than drawing. And since we don't have to show it to a customer, we don't have to put that much effort into it. I know you don't want to spend hours learning the right shape for a tree and a bench. My promise to you is that if you view the videos and you work through the assignments, you will end up with a finished garden design that's better than anything you have now. Now let's talk a little bit about how this course is structured. I've created 7 key videos, numbered 1 to 7, that are called landscape design. It's important that you watch these from start to finish. If you jump in and watch number 3 before number 2, you're going to be confused because 3 is based on knowing everything in 2. So start on number 1, and that's the video you're on right now. I have also created other videos about peripheral topics about garden design. This is supporting material for the 7 main videos. Now, it might be a little confusing as to what order you should view these, so what I've done is I've put them all together in a YouTube playlist. If you work through that list from the top to the bottom, you'll be viewing everything in the right order and in an order that makes the most sense for your learning process. What is garden design? I looked for a really good definition of this, and quite honestly, I didn't find one. So I made one up on my own. Garden design is satisfying the wants and the needs in an artistic way to create a pleasing outdoor space. There are 3 key words here. Wants and needs are absolutely crucial to this process. I can sit down and draw a really fancy looking garden. But if that garden doesn't meet your wants and needs, it's a terrible design. It looks good, but it doesn't meet the requirements you have. And so we're going to spend some time talking about these wants and needs, and you're going to have to decide what those are for you. There's no right or wrong answers here, but we have to design a space for you. The third important word there is space. When we're designing outside, we have to always think in 3 dimensions. We not only have the ground where you normally plant things, but we also have that vertical space above the ground. And a lot of designers ignore that vertical space. We have to think of our gardens kind of like an indoor room. When you're designing an indoor room, you're putting in the carpet on the floor, you're painting the walls, you're putting pictures on the walls, you're hanging lights in the ceiling. You're doing a 3-dimensional design, and we have to do the same thing in the garden. Don't think of the garden as a flat area. It's 3-dimensional space. Now I'm going to show you 3 gardens. I want you to focus on the garden itself, not the house that's behind the garden. Look at the garden and ask yourself one simple question. Which of these gardens do you like the best? Now each of these gardens are very different. The first one is very informal. It's kind of a cottage garden look. Lots of plants, lots of flowers, all kind of jumbled together. But there's lots of things to see in this garden. The second one is a Japanese garden with water and a waterfall. There's very little color here except shades of green, but that gives you this calm feeling. The third one is a very modern design. Straight lines, very few colors, not a lot of planting. Now the question is, which of these do you like the best? And it doesn't matter which one you pick. There is no right answer. The whole point of this exercise is to point out one of the most important things about garden design. When you're designing a garden for yourself, you have to design it for you, nobody else. It doesn't matter what the rest of the class thinks. It doesn't matter what the person down the street thinks. It may matter what your spouse thinks. If this is your perfect garden, go with pink flamingos. Now, most garden designers would consider this a pretty bad design, but even I use some pink flamingos in my garden in a very special way, which you'll see in the course. The key is you've got to design for yourself. In order for you to do that, you have to start learning about yourself. What are your likes, your wants? What style do you like? And some of the exercises that I'm going to take you through will help you develop that understanding of yourself. To help you along this process, I've created an ebook. It supplements the videos. You can download it from my website, gardenfundamentals.com/landscapes-design-workbook. It's a PDF, it's completely free, you don't even have to leave your email. Just go to that site, click on the link, and it'll download to your computer. Now, what does the design process look like? Well, the one I use looks like this. Now, the terms used here are changed by a lot of people. Some people have a 5-step process, some people have a 7-step process, but all professional garden designers pretty much use the same process, even if they change the naming somewhat. We start out with a sketch plan, which is a rough drawing of what you now have in the garden. Then we take that and we create something called the site survey. It's a more exact drawing of your property so that everything is in scale. We then draw a bubble plan, which is a very, very rough drawing of where we might position things in the garden. If you want a patio, for example, where are you going to put that patio? If you want a vegetable garden, do you want it at the back of the property or at the front of the property? Then we fine-tune that and develop some preliminary garden plan. Now this is where the real design starts to enter the picture. We'll draw different kinds of preliminary designs using different shapes, using different designs, until we emerge with the one that we like the best, the one that meets our personal wants and needs the best. And then we'll go make a final garden plan, add in all the details and fine-tune the drawing. Each one of these steps has a separate video, And in those videos, I'm going to do the work and show you how to make these drawings and these various plans, and then I'll send you off to do your own. As you work through this process, you should be aware of the fact that you don't have to do everything yourself. There are professionals out there to help you with certain aspects of the process. And sometimes these names can get a little confusing as to what they really are. So we have someone called the landscape architect. This is someone with professional education and certification. And their job is to do the design and the drawing. They plan the garden, but they don't implement anything. A friend of mine is a landscape architect, and he jokes about the fact that the heaviest thing he ever lifts in a garden is a pencil. There's also someone called a landscape designer. They do the same job as an architect. They make the drawings and do the designing, but they generally have less formal education, but they still might be certified. A garden designer generally has less formal training, focuses more on the plants themselves and less on the whole garden design process. The landscape contractor is the one who actually implements all of this. They'll do your plantings, they'll build the deck. Now, a lot of those will also do design for you, but they're usually not trained in doing the design. Their real expertise is in implementing. So they're not the best person to hire to do a design for you. As you can see, you can do the design and hire someone to do the implementation, or you can hire someone to do the design and you can do the implementation. Now here's the homework for this video. Download the ebook. Tour your own garden. I want you to walk around the garden and start thinking about the changes you might want to do. Take pictures from various angles. It's really handy to have those pictures inside at your desk when you're trying to do the design work. And last of all, start a picture file. Go on the internet, get your favorite books, magazines, it doesn't matter. Any place where you can see pictures of garden and start flipping through them. Just look for pictures that you like. If you see something you like, take a picture of it and start filing it. Now, you might not like the whole garden. Maybe you just like the walkway. You don't have to think that the whole picture is good. It could just be one aspect. It could be a special plant. It could be a statue. Maybe it's a certain pathway, the way they've laid the brick, and you really like that. Just take pictures of things you like. We're going to use this picture file later on in the design process. I'm really looking forward to work with you on this project. I'll put a link up that will take you to the landscape design playlist so that you can go to the next video in that playlist.